So I'd like to take 5, because I'm talking about the whole state strategy and so forth. There's a lot of negative stereotypes about low-income fathers, and disproportionately in that men of color, and it's okay to hold these stereotypes. It's okay publicly in our society to joke about guys who are poor and do stupid things, and we can laugh. And it's, you know, if you go to any of the nighttime comedy shows, Jay Leno and so forth, they'll tell you jokes about the stupid criminal, and it's usually a guy who is a substance abuser, poor, who ends up doing something. And it's okay to laugh at those people. And the place where we invest in them is through the correctional system. It's really where we want to invest, and we want to keep those people. So this work in child welfare is actually to change a culture. And if you think of the military right now, our military is struggling with sexual assault and rape within the ranks. Sexual assault and abuse of women as well as men in the ranks. They have all the rules that they need, just like child welfare. We have all the rules that tell us that we should be working with fathers, but they're not doing it. So the trick is really to change the thinking and to create environments where people can discuss what does it mean that we don't have fathers on board, what could fathers contribute to children, and to understand that this system has some kernels of positive kernels within them that we can use to open the doorway for fathers. And the main one is that there's a concern about children and children's well-being.
Right now, I work for one of the, like I think it was the little cousin of DCF, which is it's a child abuse and neglect prevention organization that still serves, you know, many thousands of parents, 5,000 to 10,000 parents a year. 5,000 is, you know, kind of very structured home visiting program. And I do similar work to Fernando around kind of organizational culture change there. But one of the really interesting things that I found after moving from a community-based practitioner to more of a statewide bureaucrat is that facilitation that we were just kind of talking about is still key. And I think it's really just the passion for the work that bubbles up, people feel it, and that's what changes, you know, hearts like individually, and then we get to, you know, kind of bigger systems after that.
Roy, you want to talk about Holyoke and the western part of the state where you're at?
Sure. So, me and these individuals have here, the part I want to go into is the kind of work we've been doing around the state, is, of course, the movement is huge, and state of Massachusetts wants to see fathers more engaged. So I was invited in with this great crew here, and Marv too, which should be sitting right next to me, about going around the state and training people to do this work. And what I've noticed a lot of people coming in is Department of Children and Families, people that want to do more of this. But the work I'm doing now, of course, working with the fathers, working with the couples, what I'm also doing now is bridging the gap between our fathers and the service providers they're hooked up to. The ones that I was always taught, those are the enemy. You know, same thing as our families have. Those are the ones who don't want to do the work. You know, I appreciate what you guys are saying as far as in the social work, how much we talk about nurturing, but how few are we ever nurtured? And the same thing, we go back and tell our fathers, you got to pat yourself on the back, but we still want the love as well. So again, the work that we're doing is very powerful and strong, but it is a struggle because there is a hierarchy, there is prejudice on that man through their own fathers, relationships they've been in, and it's about us now building that gap.
Thank you, Roy.
I just want to say one sentence here. What Roy just said really illustrates the importance, if you want to create change, understand that people are coming both from a personal and professional culture, and you have to create some way for an unfreezing to take place.
100%.
And very often it's through an emotional connection.
I want to talk about, since I came on in 2006, talk about the Growth of the Nurturing Fathers program in Massachusetts and kind of how it came about. I met Fernando about 6 years ago, I guess, right about the same time that he was commissioned by the department to write a strategic plan for fatherhood engagement, which he did. And at that time, the idea of the FELT teams, the Father Engagement Leadership Teams, in the area offices, was just starting to come about. And I was invited, I was asked by a particular DCF area office in Boston. I was part of a committee on the felt team committee. And I was asked, could I bring some of my graduates to a training, they called it, at the office. The idea was to have fathers engage directly with workers so the workers could better understand how fathers experience those systems and some of the challenges and difficulties and successes that fathers have within that system and navigating that system. And as we go, and Fernando recognized early on the power of this Father Speak presentation, and what he told us early on was everywhere this team goes and speaks and presents, that office then has a groundswell of interest, not only in working with fathers, right, but developing a felt team, promoting the fatherhood work, and developing a Nurturing Fathers program. So when I came on, we had 4 programs in the Boston area, 2 in the prisons and 2 in the community. 1 year into my tenure, we lost the prison contract, so now I'm down to 2 programs, one in the springtime and one in the fall, and I'm kind of worried about my job and and justifying my salary. Lo and behold, magic happened. This program began to grow and began to spread, and I've personally been responsible for helping to develop 22 fathers programs across the state of Massachusetts. And what we do is we'll go in and we'll do an information session, me and my team, but Miles is now part of our team. It's Sue Parker, myself, and at first it was Alice Gomes, now it's Jesse DeFrancisco. And we'll go to a particular area or town and we'll do a presentation, an information session to tell them about what nurturing is. Then we'll come back and we'll do a training to train the staff in that particular office. And then we'll come back and we'll develop nurturing family programs or father programs, right? And in the past, say 4 or 5 years, we've trained over 400 to 500 DCF workers across the whole state of Massachusetts in nurturing philosophy. We also, when we set up a program, we train the DCF workers in that particular office to become co-facilitators. So that when we walk away, we leave a self-sustaining program. Now, if you want to talk to Fernando offline, right, he can kind of tell you how this collaboration came about and how you and your particular states, right, can bring about the same kind of collaborations and partnerships with your child protection service, right? Because the idea is, right, and this is where the AAPI comes in, right? We know it's evidence-based. So funders like to see, and I think you said it before, they like to see, right, where are my dollars going? How are my dollars benefiting families, right? And the AAPI does that for them, and that's our solid tool that we use, right, to say, here's where your money goes, here's what your money's doing. Another good thing is invite those folks to your graduations. And one other thing that we do is built into that monthly breakfast is every quarter we do an event with the guys and their children. Mav just took the guys to the Museum of Science a couple of weeks ago.